You've seen her as a host on the podcast before, but now get to know Carrie Miller's full backstory about how she went from teaching to sales to the whole Amazon world, where she's now a multiple seven-figure seller who's giving us all the ups and downs of her Amazon and Walmart journey. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Black Box by Helium 10 houses the largest database of Amazon products and keywords in the world outside of Amazon itself. We have over 2 billion products and many millions more keywords from different Amazon marketplaces, from USA to Australia to Germany and more. Use our powerful filters to search through this database for pockets of opportunity that you might want to get into with your first or next product to sell on Amazon. For more information, go to h10.me/blackbox. Don't forget you can save 10% off for life on Helium 10 by using our special code SSP10. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I am your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed, organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the e-commerce world. And we've got a guest today who's no stranger to the show. I mean, she hosts probably 25% of our podcast here now, but we haven't had her like as a just 100% guest where she's going to be in the hot seat and learning about her Amazon, Walmart, TikTok, e-commerce journey. And that is our own Carrie Miller. Carrie, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How does it feel to be on the other side of the microphone? More pressure or less pressure?
Way less pressure. Way less. It's way easier on this side. So
I don't know. Fun. Like I feel different. Like sometimes I just get on here and just ask a question. I'll just like kick back and the guest will talk for like 5 minutes straight. I don't have to worry about anything. But anyways, we are here because, you know, I think probably everybody in the Helium 10 and Serious Sellers podcast audience obviously knows who you are, but we don't know your background. So first of all, were you born and raised in San Diego?
I was born in Florida and then we moved to San Diego when I was about 11.
Oh, okay. So you were in Florida for a while.
Yeah. So middle school and high school was San Diego.
Yeah. So I'm wearing my Helium 10 my old school San Diego Chargers jersey here before they dissed us and moved to LA. A lot of guests, I don't know anything about them before they come on, but I do know something. So I know you went to high school in like here in San Diego County, and then you went to Pepperdine, was it right?
Yes.
Waves.
The Waves. Yep.
What was your major there?
I majored in liberal arts and Spanish. I wanted to be a teacher, and that's basically the major for being a teacher. It was kind of like a general ed. And so I did Spanish because I liked it. I wasn't necessarily learning Spanish to teach it, but then I ended up teaching Spanish for 5 years after that. So
was it right after you graduated, you got into teaching?
Right after it. It was kind of crazy because I was focused on becoming an elementary teacher, but when I graduated, there were literally no elementary positions. Even LA Unified, who usually begs people to go in the inner city, they had 0 contracts that year. So there were a bunch of people who, didn't get jobs, but because I had Spanish, I got offers at 3 different schools. And so I was able to get a job right away.
At high school or what level?
So actually my first year was high school.
So hold on, you look the way you do now. I'm not going to say your age, but let's just say that was quite a long time ago. And then you're saying at 22, I can only imagine what you look like. And you were teaching you probably like look like a high school student.
Okay. So I got in trouble. I got asked for hall passes because there were like 150 teachers at this school. It was a big high school. And they're like, asked me for hall pass. One time I was meeting with the vice principal and she said, oh, just come to my office and walk behind the counter. And I was just walking into her office and the secretary started yelling at me. And there were some students of mine and they started laughing so hard because they're like, she's a teacher.
That's hilarious. So you were teaching Spanish at the time?
Yeah, Spanish then. Yeah. I definitely looked really young and it was kind of a funny, awkward time because I literally looked like I was, 14.
Now, I know other things you did was you started teaching at a local school and you were even a basketball coach, but then you also moved to like South America. Which came first? South
America was during my time at Pepperdine. It was my sophomore year.
It was while you were in university, you went down and were teaching in...
I didn't teach in Argentina. I just lived there for a year. I taught in China as well for a summer. So I've taught, I did teach there, but...
Where in China? I didn't remember that.
Shenzhen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I all that time I had no idea I could have been sourcing products.
Right? Wow. Yeah, so it was all over the world.
Yeah. 2010.
Okay. So Argentina, did you have a lot of like steak with chimichurri sauce?
I did have steak. I honestly love American steak better. I know everyone talks about the steak there, but I love American steaks. I like the, ribeye with a lot of like the marbleization. I think their cows were too skinny. I always looked at them. I'm like, they're not as fat as our cows. So I guess I like American steak. Maybe it's because I'm fully American. So.
Okay. All right. Well, then you spent some time there, went back, and then now you went back to San Diego near your roots and started teaching. You're a basketball coach too, right?
Yeah, I was basketball. And then they had me teaching or coaching volleyball, which I knew nothing about. So I did my best with that and then said, hey, hit it over the net.
Okay.
So basketball is way more up my alley because I played in high school too.
Okay. So now overall though, like from the time you graduated until the time you stopped, how many years were you teaching?
5 years.
5 years only. Okay. So it wasn't that long. And then what happened? What was it now into e-commerce or what?
No, I went and I started working for one of my students' moms. She had a skincare company. And so I was doing sales for her and I started kind of training people. So the products were in spas all over the country. So I would travel around the country and train people how to use the products, how to sell the products. So that was kind of a fun part of it. But then I also, had sales quotas as well and did a lot of inside sales. Okay. For her. Mm-hmm.
All right. So how long did you do that?
I did that for about 5 years.
Okay. So it's like you stick in stuff for about five years. And then are we talking e-commerce or there's still another?
No, then I went in and I worked at Clear Channel. I got a job at Clear Channel selling outdoor advertising and
that's a local like radio stations are all Clear Channel. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I got some great concert tickets, like free concert tickets, free event tickets constantly. But, I was selling billboards and there's only a certain number of billboards in San Diego County. And so most of them were usually booked for national, like Coca-Cola and things like that. And I was supposed to only do local business. And that at that time, digital marketing was coming up and coming. And so it wasn't really a good thing for people to do when they realized they could be doing digital marketing and advertising on Facebook. So I realized, it wasn't as good of an opportunity as I thought, whereas, more digital would have probably been a better opportunity. So I was actually kind of miserable working on that, doing lots of cold calling, and then had another kind of short-term job helping people with student loans. And I didn't like that at all. And it was so bad, I actually quit that. And that's when I started learning my e-commerce stuff. So basically I was house sitting in Rancho Santa Fe, which I don't know if anyone knows that area, but it's a very, very rich area. So they had an actual theater. And so what I was doing was I was watching on YouTube how to sell on Amazon. And I was literally watching hours and hours and hours and taking notes because my dad had taken over a skateboard company. It was our neighbor's son's skateboard company. It was kind of failing. And so he was like, oh, we can help out. And he had asked because my dad has a business background. And so I was like, you know what? I sold way more than they're selling in a month, like over the phone in like a half an hour. So I can easily figure this out. So then I started just optimizing the listings. It was all on vendor and that was really tough to navigate. So I switched everything over to Seller Central.
What year are we talking about?
And this is 2015, 2016 timeframe.
Okay.
So I switched it all over. It was 2016. Yeah. I switched it all over to Seller Central and started optimizing listings. And from there, I was like, well, I don't want to go back and get a job and be miserable. So I started freelancing on FreeUp. And I did pretty well on FreeUp and I got tons and tons of work just optimizing listings. And people were wanting to pay me, so much money to figure out what I was doing. But literally what I was doing was finding keywords on Helium 10. And I was writing them into the actual listings. I was doing very, very good keyword research. So I would do very in-depth keyword research and I would write these listings, and I was doing nutritional supplements as well, which are really, really difficult. And just tons of listings. And so I did freelancing for about, 2 more years. And, that was a really cool job for me to really understand how to, optimize and promote your products on Amazon.
And then around that time you started working for a Jungle Scout.
I did. Yeah.
Now,
about
2018. Like, how did that happen?
I actually applied to the freelancer section of Jungle Scout. And so that was kind of up my alley because I had been a freelancer. So what I did was I recruited, if anyone did the Jungle Market, it was called the Jungle Market. And I worked with a product manager named Joel. He was amazing. And we basically built that market together. I started learning how to recruit people all over the country. I put ads up all over the country on Indeed and other recruitment sites and found freelancers. And then we also promoted, to Amazon sellers, the actual services. Also had to kind of mediate a lot on that market. And so I was doing a lot of customer service. I was kind of hired to do customer service there mostly, but ended up doing a whole bunch more. Then I ended up doing the content for their academy and creating different
Mm-hmm.
kind of master classes that we did while I was there. So yeah,
I remember seeing you in some videos, back in those days. But then still for your side business, you were still using Helium 10.
I was 100%. Yeah. I've been using Helium 10 since 2017 and it's always been the best
before
tool.
Me. Wow.
Yeah, I actually learned about it because when I was freelancing, I would work for agencies and they all were like, we need you to be using Helium 10. So they would give me access to their accounts. And at that time you had only a certain amount of uses, so you had to make sure you didn't use, and there was actually another tool that you literally had to pay like $2 for every reverse ASIN search.
Oh, were you one of those ones who would open up a whole bunch of accounts or something in different email addresses so you could take advantage of that?
I did that. When I was on my own, but when I was working for these agencies, they paid for it. So I just used their uses. But yeah, when I was on my own, I did.
I love it.
But yeah, there were other companies though that was like $2, I think, for one ASIN search. So we never used those, but we always used Helium 10. Okay. And all the agencies that I worked under, and they were doing big brands, all of them used Helium 10, all of them. So that says something, from the beginning.
At what point did you and your dad open up your other, like you had said the skateboard company was kind of like you just took it over, but then you guys opened up your own store from scratch, right? Mm-hmm. Also?
Yes. Skateboards aren't really we're not really skaters and stuff, although we really do like that business as well. We started selling apparel in 2018 and it was literally, my dad was like, hey, why don't we just sell these? And I was like, okay. And that's what we did. We got samples and started selling them and they started doing really well. We thought we were going to sell them to skaters, but then we just put them out and realized everybody liked what we were selling. So we kind of expanded different styles and we've continued on with that business since then. And that's actually grown way bigger than our skateboard business.
Just kind of fast forwarding to the middle and end. What was the peak year for just the skateboards? I don't need to know the exact year, but what was the gross sales? Like what was the peak of that business?
2020 was huge for us. We sold out. We were sending out pallets every day of skateboards. And so my dad would put together most of them. I was doing a lot of boxing and kind of pulling stuff off the shelves to box and, package. And I don't even remember how much that was a big year.
$500,000, $1 million.
I mean,
more?
we had $400,000 just in profit on that year. So,
oh, wow. So definitely probably over $1 million of sales across the different platforms. Okay.
Yeah.
What about for the apparel? What year was the best and about how much did you do?
Last year was, I don't know the exact number. It was over 2.5 million. So yeah, we're headed towards 3. That's what our goal is.
Last year was the peak year then?
And we had 68% year-over-year growth last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now obviously you work full-time for Helium 10 and you just work on the side for that. Is your dad doing this full-time? Is it just you two? Do you have other employees? Or what's the structure like?
So it's us, but we also have some freelance people helping us with different things on the business. So, but yeah, it's mostly just me and him. We have some ideas on growing in different ways.
The other thing, obviously you're known in the world as one of the leading experts on Walmart. Approximately when did you start selling on Walmart? And then what has been your peak sales on Walmart only?
So last year we did 98,000 in sales on Walmart. We started in 2021.
And did you have a SKU even that sold better than Amazon for a while?
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to?
Still selling.
Still selling those more than...
The competition's way higher on Amazon. So just more visibility on Walmart, I think.
And then now I know, we don't have enough information yet, but you're just about to get started on TikTok Shop. And so it'll be interesting to see how you guys do there. Now, going into apparel, it's not the easiest of categories, especially, considering all the variations and the competition and you got companies from China, Pakistan, and other places, competing. How have you guys been able to have such success in such a competitive market? We're kind of in a niche market within apparel, but also what I like to do is I like to even teach people how to do this, and that is to look for low-hanging fruit keywords. Because a lot of, especially in a competitive market, people are going for the same keywords and they're going for the 100,000 search volume, 200,000 search volume, or whatever it is. I like to go for the low-hanging fruit and focus on specific relevant keywords. And that's been the best for us, I think. And not only that, I do every now and then I'll still do some keyword research
and I'll find new opportunities on how to expand because people are searching something that isn't available. So there's that. And then, so I think that's the main thing, is just finding a niche within a competitive market that makes you stand out, and then also finding those low hanging fruit keywords.
Let's flip. We've been talking about rainbows and unicorns here. You've had a few horror stories, that brings you to tears and stress you out, I know. So tell me a couple of the craziest things that have happened to you in your e-commerce journey, and then how you got over it. Like, maybe in retrospect, was there anything you could have done differently to avoid that maybe our listeners can learn from?
I think I might have shared this one before, but it's because we order skateboards, and we also have wholesale orders for skateboards. So there's different skateboard companies that we just basically source everything for them. And one year, all of the printed decks that we got for skateboards, they were all smeared, like the majority of them. So what we had to do was we had to take 1,000 skateboard decks, sand them down by hand, and then reprint with the transfers. And that was crazy. I mean, and literally, like, it would take 20 minutes per board to sand it down. And this is right before Christmas time. So it was 20 minutes per deck. And then also we had to go to a specialty place to print the transfers. And it like takes a certain type of person to be able to do those. And that one person was not always available. That was rough.
What did you not have an inspection done?
We didn't have an inspection done. That's the big thing.
There's the learning from that.
So a huge learning, because we had been working with them since, like, the company since 2007. And so we thought we kind of had it down, but now we actually have a sourcing guy, because one of our best-selling stocks went from 4.8 to 4.4.
Wait, what does that mean?
Our reviews, sorry.
Oh, your review. Okay.
Our review went from 4.8 to 4.4, and we were like, okay, this is not good. So I used ChatGPT. I downloaded from Helium 10 all the reviews, and I asked ChatGPT what was going on, sent it to the manufacturer, and then we have this new sourcing guy who literally is there on the ground for us at the factory. And while packaging is happening, he is basically inspecting each one as they go in. And he had a 12% defect rate on this last order.
Wow.
So we threw out 12%. And then for our next orders, we actually have found a different factory, a better factory that's going to do even better quality for us. And we have engineered them in a different way to kind of deal with the issues that we had.
Is that in Turkey that you moved it to?
Some are going to be in Turkey, but this guy's in China.
Are you still going to have like somebody doing that level of inspection, or now you're just going to do the regular inspection at the end of production?
No, we're going to continue that kind of level of
How much does that cost? I never heard of that. Somebody doing production line inspections like that.
It's about $200 a day. You can literally pay them to do even all parts of the whole process, and have somebody there at the factory inspecting everything.
So then what are they actually finding? That that 12%, like what was qualifying as bad?
Just different seams were off, like the logo was off, just the way that it was there, they looked wonky.
Interesting. Okay. So there's one nightmare of what happens when you don't do inspection. As you guys just see, I mean, inspections can be from 100 for just the final one, or it could be a little bit more. But even what she's talking about is $200. Wouldn't you guys like to pay that much more than having to pay hundreds or thousands of dollars on the flip side for having to throw away stuff or for having to do special runs?
Another thing I can tell you that they found too is we were told by the manufacturer we were getting grade A yarn. Okay. So we were paying for and expecting to get grade A yarn. Now he went in and did an inspection, took photos, and it was grade C yarn that they were using. So that was another kind of call out that, like, they basically were lying to us about the quality that we were paying for. So that's the good thing about having somebody on the ground and making sure that things are what they should be.
What was another terrible experience that you had? We're not trying to scare people, but hey, we keep it real here. And the fact is that you guys heard what she's accomplished, and that last year was her biggest year yet. So it's obviously, these aren't things that completely broke their company. She was still able to persevere, but still important that we know what are some of the dangers out there. So what's another crazy thing that happened to you?
Another product that was shipped over here, and we didn't do the inspection then. It was completely wrong. So inspections are probably the biggest learning for us.
It took you 2 times to learn. 2 times. The rest of you guys out there, hopefully it takes you 0 times. Hope you're just listening to this and learn the importance.
I think the hard part is what for us was okay, they've already, we did actually have an inspection, but it was only on a portion of it. And it was okay, well, what do we do with an entire order that is wrong? And we've already paid for all the materials and everything. So I don't know. I think having somebody the whole process is the best idea.
Didn't your account get hacked or something like that? Once
oh yeah,
too?
I forgot about that one. Oh man.
She's like, I'm bringing up bad memories for her. She had blocked that memory. I was like, that didn't even happen, but now I'm bringing up. I'm resurrecting some buried memories here. What happened there?
There was somebody who basically was able to hack into our account.
Seller Central.
And they were
talking about
into Seller Central, and they basically stole our entire payout. So they were able to change the bank account information without us knowing or getting a notice. And they were able to steal our entire payout. And we knew that because we're on payout day. We're like, we don't see a deposit. And so it was pretty tragic.
Talking like 5 figures, right? Definitely.
Yeah, 5 figures. We didn't get it back.
And so did you ever find out how that even happened? Did you not have, like was it a 2-step that you didn't have 2-step on, or was it a VA or like what?
Well, we don't know exactly how it happened, but one of the ways it could potentially happen is if you actually, say you click on a link on your phone through an email or a text, they can basically see everything on your phone. So they could have potentially seen the 2-step URL or 2-step, code for using your phone number. So we actually have it on an app now. So you can actually use an app for your 2-step. And that seems to be working okay. I know like I'm hoping Amazon does a bit more for security. Like there's these things called YubiKeys that you can actually buy that you have to have a physical key with you in order to like get access to any logins. And so that is actually an extra layer of protection, but they don't offer that. And I'm hoping they do soon because that's pretty bad. So what you can do now to avoid that though, is you can get paid daily. You can basically go in and just say, pay me now. And you can just basically get your payouts on the daily instead of every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So that if something like that were to happen, it wouldn't be as painful as, as maybe a 2-week period.
You guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't you have something where like Amazon screwed up all your variations or something like that?
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
So like, first of all, explain what it is and then how you fix it.
So this year, oh man, this is another painful one. Okay.
She's going to be depressed the rest of the day. She's not going to do any work for Helium 10 the rest of the day because all these memories come back. I can't do anything, Bradley, anymore. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So there is a word that is technically, they kind of flag it. And it's not an illegal word, but it's one that they flag because you have to have it paired with something else. However, our brand name has this word in it. And so we've gotten approval for this particular phrase that we use. Right. And so what happened is there's AI machines, right? That they basically are bots that go in and flag your listing based on this word. And so we had a majority of our listings get taken down, and we couldn't figure out like how to get things back up. And we ended up having to delete all of the A+ content and having to redo all of that, re-upload all of the listings over again, like just constantly re-upload them with new content. And we ended up having to pay thousands of dollars for some help from a service that is going, that basically gave us a contact information of somebody that could help us to figure out what was going on. And then after that, we got everything back up, and then they went back down again. And then it was like, I'm talking like a 2-month period. So we did lose a lot of sales this year for that reason. So it was like back down again. And then we still have some that kind of go down every now and then. Yeah. But we've been able to get it up. And then actually one guy that works there, he says he actually warned us about one. So we were able to like fix that one pretty quickly. But it's been kind of rough on that.
So for that thing, unlike the other stuff that you mentioned, there's almost no preventative measures because it's just a random thing that happens with Amazon, and you just gotta. I guess maybe the learning from this is you got to know how to do flat files pretty fast. Because that's kind of like the only way to get it fixed, right?
Yeah, flat files, but then even the flat files didn't work, so we had to pay for help and the right contact. So sometimes you have to do that. And then I know the other one was like the one that came was plants. We got all those flags, and then we were just like, this product is not. Yeah, we're like, this product is not a plant. Please remove this. And it was a very simple message we wrote, and then it was fine. And obviously, I think they lifted it for everyone, but. Yeah, so it's not, I always say to people that it's not easy, but it's worth it. So nothing really cool that you ever do in life or really big is ever going to be easy. I think if it's, that's just the way life is. And so you're going to have to kind of pivot, especially when you're doing entrepreneurship. You've got to roll with the punches. You've got to figure it out. I'm lucky because I work with my dad. And so when I'm freaking out, he's more calm. and works on the solutions, whereas I might panic a bit. So yeah, he's very, very good to work with.
Cool. Now, all right, enough negative stories here. What was like a pleasant surprise or so like super successful Prime Day, or like you guys did something new and it just like went amazing, or amazing Black Friday? Like what's a cool story about one of your businesses that you can share?
I mean, obviously 2020 was probably our biggest, because everybody was wanting to do outdoor sports. And so that was a big year for us in terms of outdoor. But I think what I always like to tell people is that the consistency is where you win. And it's not necessarily on the big days. Like we have big days, like I think like 16,000 has been our highest like Prime Day. And the win for us is being consistent and consistently growing sales. And it's not, I know people are like, oh, I saw this person, they started selling it in 3 months, they sold, $5 million. And that's not the normal story. And so maybe I'm kind of representative of the majority of people that there's nothing really exciting other than consistency and growth by consistency. It's like the habits, that book, Atomic Habits, where it says, you just go 1% off, then you're going to go, if you get away from your habits, you're going to go way off. But if you can stay consistent, then you're going to achieve a lot more, than if you're just like, going here and there and here and there. Those consistent habits of making sure that everything's going well and continuing to add more products, being innovative, making sure that your product is the highest quality possible, all of those things.
All right. So those are some broad, important, strategies I think that everybody should benefit from. Now you had referenced like there might be some specific strategies that you're doing either on Amazon and or Walmart that especially have helped you get ahead. Go ahead and let's take a couple minutes and talk about some of those unique strategies that you think you might have.
Well, a strategy, I don't know, this isn't a strategy on there, but actually something we're wanting to do in the next year or so, or we're working on it now, trying to figure out how to do it, is doing our own manufacturing here in the US. So that will help us with the quality control. And I think that'll be really a cool thing, especially with things going on in the world. I always kind of get anxious if there's something going on politically in the world, like, what about our order? We got to like keep our orders flowing. And so we were looking at Turkey as well to kind of diversify, but then we just ultimately think that having our own manufacturing here is going to be the best way to have the best quality, the best of everything, and to kind of be able to continue doing our business no matter what happens. Controlling
the supply chain, and especially now with all the fees and things like that. Which let me just ask you before you get back to your own strategies, is what are you doing differently, if anything, since the new fees came along, like inbound fees and low inventory fees? Is it just 100% business as usual, or you find yourself doing different strategies now to try and avoid some of those fees?
My dad really does a good job of, maintaining the right amount of inventory, like the perfect amount of inventory. He has calculations within a spreadsheet. So he basically, it color codes when it gets to a certain level. And so then he can send in more and make sure that we don't get too low. However, we have some styles that are very, very popular. And so we've actually run out. So we have to do more orders for those. And it's just kind of the way it is. And there's nothing we can do about it. And so we're just kind of rolling with it with that. But in terms of maintaining the inventory, my dad has it all in a system, in a spreadsheet, where he basically has the formulas to make sure that we don't go too low.
What are some other either Helium 10 or just general Amazon or Walmart strategies that are somewhat unique to you guys, you think?
I know it's funny because I think some of my stuff isn't unique, but everyone's like, oh, that's a great strategy when I say it. And I'm like, oh, I thought everyone did that. So I have to kind of think about this. But I think one of the things that sets us apart is that when I've created our listings or whenever I create our photos, I think about what are the main benefits of the product, the main selling points of it. And I realize this isn't something that everyone can easily do. And so the way I kind of have been teaching it is that you can take your competitor's listing, download their reviews, download their best reviews, their 5-star reviews, and say, ask ChatGPT, like, what do people like most about this product? What are the benefits of this product according to reviews? What do people, like? Basically ask a bunch of questions to ChatGPT and you'll get a bunch of kind of selling points, and you'll kind of see a trend of like the top selling points or top benefits of your product. And that's what you want to focus on, is like, what's in it for the customer? You've got to kind of appeal to their emotions. How is it going to make their life better, easier? Are they going to be more beautiful? Are they going to, what is it what's in it for them. And I think that is going to be the key that sets you apart. And I know it sounds pretty basic, but I've actually been doing some looking at different listings. People have been asking me, hey, can you take a look at my listing? And when I look at the listing, I'm like, well, these are not actually selling points or benefits. Like, these are features of the product, right? You can always put the features in, right, later on, but how are you appealing to the person? If you're telling somebody about your product, are you being like, oh, hey, the dimensions are 14 by 14? Like, that's like an afterthought, right? You want to, however you would even just sell to a person, like talking face to face, that's how you're going to, do that. Your first image shouldn't be a dimension photo. It should be a selling, point, your main, like, best selling point, main benefit in that first image. So I think that's a huge thing that a lot of people are kind of missing. And I only noticed that because I've been doing just a lot of just searching, even big brands. Like, I was looking at an espresso machine, and it was like, I think one of the benefits was like, or it was one of the bullet points was like, steady stream of water. And I'm like, I don't care about, like, what does that even mean? Like, you have to put it in layman's terms. What does that mean to the person? Like, is it going to be a more even flavored coffee? Is it going to be the perfect blend of coffee and water? Whatever it is it ground to perfection so that the taste is perfect? What is it that's in it for the customer? Not like, oh, it has this temperature and, does it steam the milk for you? Does it make a perfect foam for you? Like, all these kinds of things, even big brands aren't doing. And I see it, all over the place. And I actually, now that I'm shopping, I'll always look and be like, trying to see what the seller actually is trying to portray. And then I look at the reviews and kind of see what actually customers are saying. Cause I usually look at the reviews mostly when I buy something, but I think that's a big thing. And, I didn't realize that maybe I have that because I was in sales for so long. And so when you're in sales, you've got to, within the first few seconds, catch their attention. And, that's the same thing. You got to, within that first image, first bullet, you've got to say what is in it for that customer. How are you appealing to them? Even a video, like a video ad, bang, hit them with the first selling point. Even if it's a slideshow, like, your first slide should be the best thing about your product. And so just like our YouTube videos, when we do our YouTube videos, we can see the actual data. People will not continue watching our videos if it's like, if we don't catch their attention within the first 6 seconds, right? Is that kind of the data? So we've got to think about that. And so I think that sets us apart. So that's a big strategy that, I think is important. And then also, just kind of keeping up to date with things that are, important. Like, I know AI, like Rufus is coming out with different ways to search. So how are we pivoting and answering those questions? So maybe kind of going to things like Answer the Public and, asking about your product, like, what are people searching for in regards to your product? You can see when you go to Answer the Public, like, a whole list of questions that people are asking about your product. Make sure that a lot of the main ones are answered in your actual listing, because those are going to be questions that people are going to ask when they're doing, some searches. Maybe think about the Q&A section a little bit differently, answering with videos, answering with more details that you can understand that maybe would teach the AI more about what your product is. But I think that's a big one. I'm not spending tons and tons of money on things that are not important. Like, for example, video ads. I literally made slideshows with Canva and Biteable are the two that I used. These two, just basically Canva to kind of make the slide. And then I put together in a slideshow with Biteable. But our video ads convert very well. And they're the most basic. Like, people would laugh if they saw them. They're like, what is this? Because you see all these other brands putting on these productions. And we did have somebody do, like, it was like $1,500 for one video. And that's just not sustainable. And you got to kind of A/B test. So think of ways that you can do things that are going to make an impact that you can kind of A/B test quickly and kind of go that way. That's what I think. I think obviously you're going to want to spend your money in important ways, like making sure the quality is the best, but then other ways you can save money by not, spending thousands of dollars on videos when you can literally make a slideshow that's going to be potentially even more impactful.
All right. In the last couple of minutes here, favorite Helium 10 tool, since you've been using it even longer than me.
Everyone says Cerebro, and I'm also probably going to say Cerebro, but there's a specific spot within Cerebro that I love. And you know which one of this is, that It's my favorite. And it's the historical trend, because I always was like, oh man, it would be so cool if I go back like last Christmas and see what people were searching for my products so we can kind of capitalize on those keywords. So that's another kind of strategy I think that's really a good, helpful one, is even if your product isn't seasonal, you're going to find seasonal keywords for your product by going back in history. You can look at your competitors, see where they were ranking for different seasonal keywords. You can look at yourself, where you were ranking, and you can see the search volume. You can see certain search volumes, like they're maybe 800 or less in August, and they spike to 70,000 in December. So you can see all that detail with historical trend. And I've talked to a lot of people too, and they're like, that is the biggest money maker for us, is that tool. It's worth so much gold. And if you haven't tried it out, you're missing out, because I think that's the best one. There's other things, like I really like the media comparison in our listing analyzer, because it shows you all in one spot where you can compare your images to all your competitors. It'll be like basically stacked on top of each other. Whereas I used to literally go listing by listing and look at my competitors, what they were doing with their images. And now you can just literally see it all in one. And then another thing that I love too, that I find is really exciting, is our Amazon brand analytics top search terms in black box. Mm-hmm. So basically, before, I remember I was at $1 Billion Seller Summit, and everyone was like, oh, we can pull our money together and get developers so that we can download all these search terms every week and then filter through it. I mean, it's like 2 million lines on an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah. So it's really hard to filter through that data. So now Helium 10 literally just, you can connect, if you have brand analytics through an API, you can basically filter through the brand analytics data on Helium 10, easily sort through and find trending keywords. You can see the top clicked and top converted for those keywords. And I think that's another really cool tool, because I'll look at that to see, I kind of look at my competitors a bit more with that to see what's going on with like any keywords there. I also look at Cerebro to see where I'm kind of behind with specific competitors. But I would say those are my favorite. I know you said one, but those are I love pretty much all of them, but I could keep going, but yeah, those are some of my favorites.
All right. Well, Carrie, thank you so much for joining us, sharing us your highs and your lows throughout your e-commerce career. It's a pleasure working with you, and hopefully we'll be here co-workers for a long time.
Yes,
to come.
I hope so.
And thank you for making it so I don't have to host every podcast like I did in the old days as well.
Yes, I'm happy to do
maybe
it.
We'll catch up with you and get you on the other side of the on the camera and microphone here maybe next year and see how your TikTok shop or other e-commerce journeys are going.
Yes, that sounds awesome.